Hi, this is Pat Sheranian, and welcome to our show today. Usually I'm on Mondays only, but when you get exciting people in your life, sometimes you just have to work another day. And so I'm here on Tuesday with some very exciting people, and you're going to learn a few things today about ways to save money and make money in a different way than you've ever heard before. And before I say too much and mess it up, let me introduce my guests today. They made it very easy for me. This is Scott, and this is Scott. And this is Scott. Is it Christensen? Christensen, yeah. Or any?
It's Christensen.
Okay, Christensen, yeah. And Scott Johnson. Correct. Did we get that right? Yep. I had the privilege several weeks ago of attending a meeting right here in South Provo at, it's not the Holiday Inn anymore. What is it? The Quality Inn down there?
La Quinta.
La Quinta Inn, next to Ruby River, the restaurant.
Yes.
And they invited me to dinner and a seminar. And first of all, the food was delicious. And, you're used to eating turkey and chicken that tastes a little bit like rubber. This was absolutely a delightful steak dinner and marvelous chicken. And then on top of that, they had 3 great speakers. And you told some of the best stories and testimonies I've ever heard about a business. It was really, really good. We had about 45 people in the room, and they're going to tell you about today why this room was just absolutely electrified with the information that we were receiving. So before I do that, as many of you know that have watched me and followed me over the years, I like to know who I'm visiting with personally, and I didn't have a chance to do that at the meeting. It was all business, and we were on task. So what I would like to do today for the first half hour is find out personally who these fellows are, how they got into the business, have them explain a little bit about the business, and then at our break at the bottom of the hour, they're going to take over the show, and they will be hosting the rest of this show and for the rest of this month on Tuesdays at noon. And you will want to hear this and share it with your friends, so please write this down. 12 o'clock noon on Tuesdays, they will be hosting Alliance Group,
yes.
And if you want to find it, it's alliancegroup.com.
Alliancegroupfinancial.com is our website.
Alliancegroupfinancial.com. And we're going to give some phone numbers out, so get your pen and paper so that you can write those down also. But let me start with Scott Johnson on the end, because he's a fireball.
Okay.
I met him, and he was very quiet and rather sober, but then he got up in front of the group, and you woke us all up, and man, we were really going. It was very, very good, and you know your stuff. And I appreciate going to a meeting where there's a lot of homework involved in getting ready for something. They had a great PowerPoint presentation. The room was set up very well. I truly appreciated being there. It was free. The dinner was free. And are you guys going to invite them?
Absolutely.
All right, so they're going to extend that invitation as we go through here, and you'll find out where it's going to be in time and so forth. But Scott, tell me where you grew up and about you a little bit. I've heard you mention just a little bit, but those of us that are raised or born or come and visit and wind up living in Utah County, we get very personal and up close.
Very true, we do.
It's part of the deal here.
I was actually raised in Tooele County. My dad was a doctor, and I was raised out there. Went on a mission for the LDS Church, came to BYU, married an amazing girl, and had 7 kids, and now we have 8 grandkids. And I was with the church education system for 20 years. And so I taught Seminary and Institute for the LDS Church in the United States and Canada. And when we finally came back from Canada in 1992, my experience really in the financial world came as a result of having I say to people, I'm the poster child for having made all the dumb decisions. I am. I was raised in a home with a dad who was a doctor, made great money, and a mother who loved to spend it. That's who I am.
Hey, that's the best combination.
Yeah, it was until I got home from my mission, and my dad put his arm around me. He said, "Scott, look, your mom's been used to spoiling you. It's time you learn to be financially free." And what that meant was you're on your own. And it was a shock because I was one of these kids who cars and go-karts and motorcycles
spoiled brat.
I was a spoiled brat as a kid. And so I raised 7 children in the United States and Canada in the LDS church education system, trying desperately to have them have what I had. And you don't do that on a seminary teacher's salary. And so for me, that was called debt. And so I did. I became the poster child for stupidity when it came to finances. And so I'd been here. I was teaching seminary at Timpview when
And I just have
introduced
to mention, we just discovered that he was teaching seminary at Timpview High School here in Provo, for those of you watching this in Japan, and found out that the lady he was teaching with, the young lady he was teaching with, was my niece, Stacy Hux Christensen, no relation to
That we know of.
this Scott that we know of, but to Frank Christensen. And what fun that was, because
a
she was an
blast.
amazing missionary out in the mission
and
field.
a great teacher. We
Yeah.
became great friends. Anyway, I was at Timpview when I was introduced to the financial services concept and world. It was about that time when I first met Scott, but we didn't get together in terms of business until years later. But I jumped in the financial services world at that point. I left the church education system after two years of part-time financial services, and have been in the financial services world ever since.
But when you say financial services to me, that means somebody's giving me money, because that's a nice service.
Well said.
And so, and I hear words like financial repair and financial debt, and so you have to, after we get this Scott introduced, if you'll just do a little, clarify a little bit, and then in this last half hour go into some detail on it.
We'll do that.
And then as you come on each week, you can just add to it and share more with folks, because
Absolutely.
I don't think this is an easy subject to understand. The way that you have it, I think it's a great idea. It took me a little while listening to it before I realized we become our own banker.
Yeah.
It's one of the concepts that we teach.
I heard you say that, and I thought that works for me. They've been taking my money for years. Can I turn this around? And so, and I want to understand more about it. And so you got into the financial services
world, the traditional financial services world, which was all about teaching people that, and one of the things we say in our presentation is traditional financial services, we believe, has failed this country, partly because it's based on ifs. If the stock market doesn't crash, again. If taxes don't go up, again. If the government doesn't change the rules, again. All those ifs happened, and because they happened, anybody who looks over the last 10 years of their life looks and says, my 401k didn't do what I thought it was going to do, my financial planning didn't do what I thought it was going to do, and yet I did everything my financial planner told me to do. And yet I'm in the hole, I'm in the tank. And so we really, and this all was a result of Scott. When I was introduced to Scott 5 years ago, again, it was all about seeing financial planning from a new angle. I had to be able to say to my clients, failure is not an option, instead of if.
And because we get where we believe failure is the only option. That doesn't work for my personality, and it doesn't work for most people, and it certainly does not work if you have a family.
Well,
but
and you
that
look at
feeling of dread is there, particularly.
And you see that. You saw 40 people sitting in that room trying desperately to find a way to figure out, how do we do this? How can anybody say failure is not an option? And that's our goal. Our goal is to sit with people and say, we're going to show you a way to make failure never be the option. Because there's a way to do this and not have it be based on ifs. Kids' missions, weddings, education, retirement. I mean, you know how many people in this county are struggling to say, how do I pay for those things when everything I did financially that I was supposed to do didn't work?
Yeah, it's gone.
So anyway, that's where I come from.
And they're going to tell us some more about it. So I appreciate that background, because I think it does make a difference where we've come from. If somebody just fell off the turnip truck and they're trying to talk to me about finance, I'm probably not going to pay a lot of attention to them. But I had a great deal of respect for what you folks were talking about the other night. And so knowing who you are makes it even more important to me. And so let's find out if you're equally as good.
Okay.
Are you the brainchild behind this?
Well, with a lot of support.
Whatever
with a lot
that
of support.
means.
Yeah, with a lot of support. Because I've been involved in the financial services industry a little bit longer, and have had kind of a unique path. So yeah, it's been quite an interesting journey.
And so you were born and raised.
Well, I'm one of those kids. My dad was in the Air Force, so I was actually born on Eglin Air Force Base in Panama City, Florida.
Okay.
And not long after that, we moved to California, and then not long
Did they
after
take you with them?
They did. They did. I was a keeper. I'm the oldest, and so they kept me.
Oh, they kept you. Okay.
And we moved to Alaska when I was 3 years old.
Okay.
And I spent the next 8.5 years living in very remote areas of Alaska.
How remote?
Well, the last place I lived had no radio, no TV. There was only 2 telephone lines that went to the outside world. There were 9 or 10 actual phones on this little island in the middle of 2 rivers, and it was a party line. So the phones were the crank phones. You'd crank them and they'd go long and too short.
I'd like to tell you I don't remember that, but my grandmother had one of those.
So, but everybody heard them ring, and so if you wanted to...
you could pick up and listen.
Yeah, you could. So you could have talk to whoever you wanted whenever, or they could listen into whatever. So I lived there until I was, just before I was 12 years old. And,
wait, I have to know why are you in this remote place? Now, I understand the Air Force, but there's no Air Force base there, so what was he doing?
That's true. My dad was an electronics technician, and he managed the teletype systems in these remote areas.
Okay.
There was Cold War period. They were all worried about Russia coming through the Bering Strait and so forth. So it was very interesting. I tell people I used to go fishing as a 10, 11-year-old with a fishing pole in one hand and a .30-30 rifle in the other.
Oh, my goodness.
I thought I was Daniel Boone and Davy Crockett wrapped up into one. It was kind of fun. But they had no school beyond the 8th grade in this particular area. We had a 4-room schoolhouse with 2 grades to each room. And my mom didn't want to send me off to school, so my dad bid for the Western United States. And my parents went to Granite High School here in Utah. So the family was here. And it just by luck, my dad was assigned to work in Delta, Utah, which is a very small farming community, a couple of hours south of here.
Know exactly where it is.
And so that's where I went to junior high and high school, and
down in Delta, Utah.
And there were 3 Christensen families there, but none of us were related. So there's a lot of different trees or branches of the Christensen family. But ended up going to Snow College, where I met my dear sweet wife. She's from a small town called Loa, Utah.
I've driven through Loa. You can go right through. I can't even remember if they have a stop sign.
Delta's really small, and I'd never heard of a Loa. I had no idea what that was.
That's funny.
Her parents were educators down there. But we met at Snow College and decided we kind of liked each other. And so as a result of that, we ended up getting married. We have 4 children. And 17 grandkids.
Oh, look at you bragging.
So
you're just bragging rights.
We got a bunch. Well, Scott, he had 7 kids, but they don't know how to create grandchildren, evidently. He's only got 8 or so. But I kind of got into financial services inadvertently. I was an economics and accounting major in college, but I could make more working construction to put my way through school. And so one summer I was at a family reunion, and of course I was one of those rebellious young kids that had a full beard and long hair down to my shoulders. And I had an uncle.
Making the mother proud every moment.
Well, she was pretty forgiving about that. But anyway, the bottom line was I had an uncle that asked me what I was doing, and I told him, and he says, I've got into the insurance business kind of on a part-time basis. I find it kind of interesting. And he was a truck driver, but he was a smart guy, and I liked him and had an affinity towards him. And so as a result, I ended up being introduced to a family friend who was the general agency manager of an agency, and I had set up an interview with him, came in my nicest light blue polyester suit, and first thing he said to me was, would you be willing to cut your hair and shave? And I said, sure, I'd do that. And so the rest is history. I did that, and
we're going to hear the rest of this story in just a minute. We've got to go to commercial break, and we'll be right back. This is Pat Sheranian with 2 great guests, Scott Johnson and Scott Christensen, and we'll be right back. Stay with us.
Perfect.
Roger Strong. I'm here to tell you about tidbits of Utah County. No death, divorce, devastation, or destruction. Just good news for good people. You'll find us everywhere in Utah Valley. In doctors' offices, restaurants, mechanic shops, anywhere that people wait. We have over 35 features of fun, family-friendly entertainment. To find a paper or to advertise, call Roger at 801-616-6288. Again, that's Roger at 801-616-6288. We're Tidbits of Utah County, the happy paper for Happy Valley.
Has bad credit got you stuck? Bad credit can cost you thousands of dollars a year in extra charges, fees, interest, and insurance costs. Are you sure you want to waste all that hard-earned money? Vantage Credit Alliance, a local top-rated national credit repair company, has attorneys that attack the credit bureaus using the laws of the Fair Credit Reporting Act to get negatives removed off your credit report. In fact, they are so good that they average a 127-point increase in just 4 to 6 months, an astounding increase compared with any other credit repair company in the nation. This means that you get your credit scores in the 700s or higher. It means that you can buy that dream house, get that car you've always wanted, invest instead of watching opportunities go by and missing your dreams. The great part, it's affordable. In fact, you can save the cost of credit repair with Vantage Credit Alliance many times over in the first year alone. You owe it to yourself to get a great credit score and start saving your hard-earned money instead of wasting on high interest and insurance rates. It doesn't have to be that way. Call 801-769-9443 to get a free credit analysis that will show you what has to be done to get your credit scores back. Just visit us at www.vantageca.com and set an appointment today.
Are you looking to create another revenue stream in 2012? Are you willing to put out the effort, generate some cash flow? Pat Sheranian is seeking 10 motivated individuals to join her Kyani team as independent distributors. Earn as much as you are willing to work for selling Kyani Sunrise, Sunset, Nitro FX, and Nitro Extreme. These great products are helping thousands of people enjoy better health and an improved financial situation. The most successful Kyani independent distributors started by trying the Kyani products, just as you can, virtually risk-free, as Kyani offers a 30-day money-back satisfaction guarantee. Try them and don't like them, and you'll get your money back, less the shipping costs. So many people today are challenged by obesity and diabetes, or don't have enough money for their needs, and they aren't doing anything about it. Don't be one of them. Call Pat Sheranian at 801-362-9552 to find out more about Kyani and what it can do for your health and for your wealth. That's 801-362-9552.
Hi, this is Pat Sheranian back with you, and I hope you're still there. We appreciate so much having you listen to us on 1480 AM. And if you're watching us on UtahValleyLive.com. My guests today are Scott Johnson down on the end and Scott Christensen next to me. And we were just visiting with Scott a little bit about his background, and he was starting to say something about part-time work. And many of us do get where we are because we learn to work, and there is something about that. If you don't learn to work when you're young, you're going to learn sooner or later if you want to be successful. But there's something about teaching kids to work early and enjoy it, not have it be drudgery, but to find joy in it and then finding something that you like. So you mentioned you had some accounting in your background. And
was an accounting major, economics major in college. And as I mentioned, at the time, my wife and I we'd only been married for 15 months when we had our daughter, and then 12 months and 10 days later we had twin daughters. So we had 3 little ones, and so I wasn't able to continue the schooling at that point in time, and so I needed to go back to work. And I'd been introduced to the insurance business. But as a result, what I would do is I could make good money working construction, so that's exactly what I did. I'd get up early in the morning, go to work construction all day, come home, clean up, shave, and then go out and on appointments to talk to people about their insurance and financial planning needs. And I did that for about a year and a half until I was able to make the transition and come full time into the insurance business. Is where I started.
So the background for you was more insurance than financial at that point, would you say, or was it?
Well, we started out with the
where I'm headed with
side.
This is, can anybody do what you're doing?
Well, as a matter of fact, they can. In fact, we talk to people all the time that become somewhat interested in what we're doing, and we are looking for people to help us grow our organization, get the word out. And so we do teach them a number of things, and we encourage them to actually start part-time. so that they don't disrupt some of the other financial income processes. But yeah, I started out in the insurance business, later was taught estate planning, financial planning, and then over the years, particularly the last 10 years, have made a huge transition into the current processes that we utilize today.
And I would like to just take about the next 6 or 7 minutes, and let's just introduce the program that you're going to be from the bottom of the hour out. You're going to be visiting with us about that and to give more detail on it. But if you'll just give us kind of a setup of the framework of the company, perhaps that's
well, maybe
how can I benefit from what you do?
Well, what I'll do is I'll kind of start out, maybe have you jump in a moment, Scott. I created the Alliance Group about 25 years ago with the idea of teaching and educating individuals. At the time, I was hiring and introducing a lot of people into the insurance and financial services business. And as a result of that, I wanted to teach them more about how money really worked. Because my first 2 or 3 experiences, even before I got into the insurance business, with insurance agents, 2 out of the 3 didn't do the job that I asked them to do. And it wasn't until after I got into the business that I understood exactly how it worked and why one had done a really great job for me and the other 2 probably hadn't. And so I really wanted to make sure that going forward that the people that I worked with, whether I was training them in my organization or working with them as clients, that they had a better understanding. And that's kind of been the underlying thought process. Today on our website, if you go to alliancegroupfinancial.com, you'll see that we're trying to create financially empowered families. And to us, that means helping people know how money really works, understanding that there's things that they think to be true about money that may not necessarily be so. There's a lot of fiction and misunderstanding in how we actually understand what goes on in financial services products.
Well, most of us just wait for somebody to tell us, and they don't have the information really that we need. And that's what I heard from you fellows, was you had done homework. You had really put this to the test, your method, and to make sure that it worked for our families. I want to give out a phone number because I know you've got a seminar coming up tomorrow night. I want to mention that. So let's do that right now in this half hour. Let's mention where it's going to be, because you have to go and hear this. It's not something that you're just going to say, okay, I need 5 minutes. It's going to take more than 5 minutes, because they really lay it all out, and you suddenly say, oh, I've got it, and I can see where my family would benefit from going through this experience. So let's talk about where it's going to be and what time and where they're going.
Scott, why don't you tell them where it's at?
Yeah, actually, the dinner tomorrow night is at Ruby River, which is, again, connected to the La Quinta Inn right there at South Provo, the last exit in Provo. They can, if they want to, they can actually go register on a website. It's actually a different website. It's called familybankingplan.com. If they go to familybankingplan.com, they can register on that website. There is an events page. Checked it this morning. There is an events page that they could go to the events page and just register to come to the dinner tomorrow night. It starts at 6:30, and it's a 90-minute presentation. We really can't do it in less than 90 minutes, but they'll be fed a great meal.
But the nice part about it is, so many things that you go to, you eat your dinner, and now you put everything away and it gets very quiet in the room, and the program starts, and you're there till 11 o'clock, and you're dead. And so, because you're so tired, you can't think anymore. It starts right at 6:30. They do a short introduction. Before you know it, your salad's in front of you, then your entree's in front of you, and the meeting is going on, and you're eating, and everybody's eating, and you can listen and take notes and hear and see at the same time. It's a very digestible moment. And it lasts for 90 minutes, and you go, wow, where did the time go? Because you've been really very occupied, both mentally and you're eating. But it's digestible, and it's so interesting. And what I know about finance, you can put on top of this pen and this pencil and hold a dance festival. So for me, it was an eye opener. For a lot of people, it was perhaps less than that or more than that. But everyone came out. In fact, I think 12 people stayed. You had a large group staying and signing up for more information. And the bottom line on all of this portion of everything was free. The dinner was free. The seminar was free. The folks were free. It was a lovely air-conditioned room, easy to park, flat, walk right in, easy to get to. So we invite everybody to come. Now, I had to make a reservation because you need to take account for dinner.
We do, and we.
So
It's
let me
very
have
helpful to us.
let me have a phone number. Is there a phone number they can call?
They can call two different numbers.
Okay.
The direct line is 801-545-9494, and that's 801-545-9494. We have a toll-free number that's 866-545-9494. So the same last 7 digits. It's just a toll-free number, 866-545-9494. And,
Okay, you're saying that too fast. So let's do it again. It's 801-545-9494. 545-9494, 801 or 800?
866.
Oh, excuse me, 866.
Yes,
Oh, now I've
866.
totally confused everybody. Okay, 866 545-9494. That should be an easy number.
Well, and the simplest way is really to go online,
Online.
to the familybankingplan.com.
Well,
and
sometimes you have
register.
older folks that are trying
This
to
is
figure out
true.
their
This
finances,
is
and
true.
they're not that quick on the computer. So,
Well, and something else that we want to make sure that everybody's aware of or clear on, that we don't, there's nothing sold at this presentation. You
I
experience this.
love the low key, very low key, very friendly. There was a young couple at the table with me, and they had to really think about it. They talked about it, and they said, we really need to think about it. And they were the kind that were going to go home and talk about it and think about it and look at their budget and see what they could do or couldn't do, or if they really needed it. That was the other thing. But everybody else, I mean, people were so grateful. I heard several people say, I didn't know I had an option to being dead broke and not knowing what I was doing, or having a little bit of money and not knowing how to use it to the best advantage for my family.
Well, at the very least, what people will find, come away with, we hope that they look at things a little bit more, a little differently than they did before. And we hope that we pique their interest and intrigue them enough that they want to follow up with us with an additional appointment. But even that, there's no obligation. We go through a process to help people understand kind of really what some of the advantages are that they could be doing, things that they could be doing that really are going to help them create financial certainty.
But when you say family home banking, then I'm thinking, okay, what am I running out of my house? And but what it really means is you take charge. You take charge of your money.
Well, to a very large degree, that is part of the process of becoming financially empowered,
Right.
is understanding much more about how money really works, and then taking the personal responsibility. There are a number of our clients that say, just tell me what to do and I'll do it, and we're happy to help those folks. But I find it very difficult. I'm working with a couple right now that's really how they prefer. And I said, but I really would like you to understand more about how money really works. And so my personality is to educate as much as anything. And I think
Very much
that's Scott's forte as well.
Well, I'm going to be leaving at this commercial break because this is their program, and they are brand new hosts, however, very experienced in front of people, and they're going to be on with us every Tuesday for the rest of this June month at noon, and we're very happy to have them here. So I'm going to go to commercial break and thank Scott Johnson and Scott Christensen for being here today, and they're going to finish out this hour, and I'm going to go watch you on the computer and see how you're doing.
Very excellent. Thank you, Pat. We appreciate it.
It's going to be fun. So we're taking commercial break, Ken.
Are you an athlete looking for a natural boost to your workout? Have you studied up on the benefits of nitric oxide production to your performance? Then you'll want to try Kyani's Nitro Extreme. Nitro Extreme promotes cardiovascular health and improved blood flow, supports muscle contraction and relaxation, as well as nerve transmission. I use Nitro Extreme right before I lift weights, and I've never been stronger in my entire life. If you don't try Nitro Extreme, you'll never know what you're missing. Call 801-362-9552 to order yours today. That's 801-362-9552.
Traffic. It's what you need for your website. Got a blog and no one is listening? Then you need traffic. Trying to sell on eBay and got lost in the shuffle? Then you need targeted, focused traffic. The II Live has OC pages that pull in hundreds of thousands to millions of hits in just a matter of days. Why? Because they use the power and the strength of social media that no one else has figured out and pull the traffic right to your website. What does it cost? Far less than what you would expect, and if you get the traffic we promise you will get, your business will explode, and that means income like you've never had before. The number one cause of business failure is not having enough traffic to your business, and that is where the II Life OC Pages makes the incredible difference for your business. Go to www.theilifeocpages.com and get traffic to your business. Blog, video, email, discussion, group, or website today. Remember, www.theocpages.com. That's www.theocpages.com today.
When you think about an auto body shop, what services come to mind? Collision repair? Ding removal? Painting and detailing? How about headlight repair? Power window repair and carpet cleaning? Casey's Bend and Mend in Provo will take those unwanted bends out of your vehicle and mend it back to great shape. For 15 years, Casey's Bend and Mend owner, Kevin Stubbs, has been using his artistry to get you back on the road looking good. Personable and approachable, Kevin will provide a free estimate and offers discounts to students and self-pay clients, in addition to working with all the insurance companies. Trust your vehicle to a craftsman, someone who will give you personal service and care. Casey's Bend and Mend, located at 85 East, 600 South in Provo. Give Kevin at Casey's Bend and Mend a call at 801-374-0930. You bend 'em, we mend 'em.
Welcome back. This is Scott Christensen and Scott Johnson, and we're very excited to be here today. This is our it's actually the second time we've appeared on the show, a little different time slot, but we're excited to have the opportunity to visit with you, share some of our thoughts and ideas, and in some way help you make some decisions about your financial lives going forward. One of the things that we consistently share with our prospective clients and people that we meet is that we really do believe that the economic future is going to be quite interesting. In fact, it's far different than anything we've experienced in the past. And as a result, we believe that we're in a new financial paradigm or a new financial model, which means we really have to approach it differently. We have to think about it differently. It requires a new way of thinking. Because if we continue to do what we've always done, we'll always get what we've always got. I mean, that's a very old and in some ways a trite statement, but that's really quite true in the processes that we identify. Is that if we keep doing things the way that we have in the past, from a financial standpoint, our results not only they may be the same, but in some cases they may be a lot worse because the financial horizon is changing, and we need to look at how we can create greater financial certainty and reduce risk to the lowest level possible. There's a number of things that we want to be able to help people do, and so we thought that maybe we do for this first show that we would. I thought I'd ask you, Scott Johnson, what you mentioned earlier that we had met each other clear back, I think, in about 1996. We worked in an organization together, but we didn't have a lot of interaction with each other at that point in time. Fast forward to about 6 years ago, 5.5 years ago, we reconnected, and I shared some things with you at that point in time. What was it that you saw at that point that caused you to kind of for you it was a huge transition, as it was for me, but I'd just done it about 5 years earlier. So why don't you tell the listeners what it was that you saw?
Okay. I'm going to go back to your statement because I need to tell a story, and your statement about the economic future we're living into is far different. So let me tell you my story. I had been in the traditional financial planning world. I got a call from a client, and she was a 64-year-old lady whose husband had left her. And she called me wanting to know what she needed to do with this investment. So we sat down. She was one of my original clients. She'd been there for 15 years. And we made some phone calls. We looked at her investment. We looked at what had happened to $25,000 that was now less than $6,000. She put in $25,000. It had become less than $6,000 in the process. And she was devastated by her husband leaving, didn't know what to do. She looked to me as her financial planner. I tried to make some decisions and some recommendations, but in all honesty, when you look at $25,000 turning into $6,000, and that's traditional financial planning. Anybody who's been in this traditional world for the last 20 years knows that it's not hard to watch $25,000 turn into $6,000. And the hope is that your financial planner is going to say, it'll come back. The market always comes back. Well, for those of us who are 45, 55, 65 years old, you start to go, that kind of phrasing is ridiculous. The market always, I don't care if the market comes back. I need the money yesterday. and I don't need 6, I need 25 plus the growth. And so when that happened to me, I started to look at all my other clients. I had over 1,000 clients in that organization. I started to look at those clients and trying to figure out, how am I going to help these people? How do I say to them something other than if the market comes back, if the taxes don't change, etc.? How do I say that? And that's when I ran into Scott. We reconnected. I saw that he was doing something that was very unique, but he was able to say to people, failure is not an option, and I wasn't. And that was really what the draw was. We were friends. We saw each other from the same angle. We looked at finances differently at the time, but I was ready to make a move because I was so frustrated by what I was watching my clients go through. Plus, if you go back 6 years, I look at my own children, and at the time starting my grandchildren, and saying, how are my grandchildren and children ever going to face the future if I don't provide some kind of background, some kind of information that allows them to see life and money differently? So for me, Scott, that was the beginning. And it's been a tremendous education from that point on. We introduce people to the concept of becoming your own banker by teaching them how banks make money really, and how you can do the same thing, how you can recycle money. We introduce people to a concept called family legacy. He introduced me to family legacy 5 years ago, and my life turned upside down, completely upside down financially, because I had never heard this concept, even though I've been in the financial services world for 15 years at the time. So these are ideas that I was introduced to by Scott, and they're not his ideas specifically, but what he's done for me is pulled me into a mix where I could say to my children, my grandchildren, my clients, and my future clients, I can show you things that you've never seen before, and I can teach you that what you thought to be true about money in many cases just isn't true, or at least it's not true in the same way you thought it was. And by giving information, by providing truth, I can change their lives. And in process, it changed mine. So I don't know if that helps, but that's my story.
I think that's perfect. That's, for me, the transition started a little bit earlier than that, specifically about 5 years earlier, almost 6, because I had been in the traditional financial planning world for about 25 years, and the events, a number of events took place during the period of time from 2000 through 2002. And of course, we all know the market declined significantly during that period of time. And what was most disturbing to me was that it didn't seem that anybody really had an idea that it was going to happen. And I know that you can't forecast every little dip in the market, but initially it seemed to me there should have been a little bit more warning. In addition to that, it didn't seem that there were very many professionals had any idea how long it was going to be, how long the market was going to go down, how long these circumstances were going to be in play. And as a result of that, I found that the common advice was to just wait until the market came back. Well, in our seminars, we talk to people about, for example, if you were 45 or 55 years old in 1999 and you had money in a 401k or an IRA, you were pretty confident about life. If you'd put any money away, it had grown substantially. And for the vast majority of 45, 55-year-olds, you really felt you were in a great position. Well, 3 years later, you weren't so sure because the market had dropped considerably, and many retirement plans had lost 40, 50, even as much as 60% of their value. And I kind of looked at that and I thought, wow, where is the safety net? Where is the process that keeps people from writing this all the way down? Well, again, traditional financial planning says, hang in there, the market will come back, and it actually did. And so by 2005, 2006, even 2007, the down market, the steep decline from 2000 to 2002 was nearly forgotten. And then along comes 2008, 2009, and we got hit again. Now, the interesting thing is that those people that were 45 and 55 years old are now 55 and 65 years old or approaching that. And so in one decade, they've been hit twice. The problem is, even if the market does come back, they may not have time to recover because they're approaching a point in time where they're going to want to start withdrawing from their retirement accounts. And nobody wants to be withdrawing from their retirement account when the market has taken 30 or 40 or even 50% of that value away over the last decade. And so it created a real dilemma. So coming out of 2001, 2002, I really had to examine my practice and look to see if really I was making a difference for people. And I felt at that time that I needed to find a financial planning philosophy that created far greater financial certainty, that helped people reduce risk to the lowest level possible, and in every case where possible, reduce taxes to the lowest level. Because we are living into an economic future that there are so many things that are happening that are going to put pressure on state, federal, and local governments. There's no question that taxes are going to have to be increased. Fees at every level, property taxes, income taxes in the state and local level, and federal income taxes. In our seminar, we talk about the history of, and we try not to make it boring, but the history of the marginal tax brackets in this country. And it's stunning to some people. We ask them, what's the highest marginal tax bracket this country has ever had? And most people say, 30, 40%. Well, the reality is that this country back in the early 40s had a marginal tax bracket at the level of 94%. Now, I have to tell you, nobody paid 94% income tax on their income. But what that means is a marginal tax bracket essentially is something that once you reach a certain level of income, the next few dollars are taxed at that next bracket. And so it was possible, again, not very many people actually paid this tax, but it was possible for someone making a lot of money to pay up to 94% tax on some of the last dollars that they made. Now, the reason that that's important going forward is that we are in an economy. We have a federal government that needs money for Social Security, money for Medicare. Governments only get money by taxing its citizenry. And as a result of that, the only place that the federal government can get money to prop up some of these entitlement programs is by increasing taxes. And we won't go into a lot of detail today, but the bottom line is that there's a number of individuals that are in the know. That, for example, we ask people if they know who David Walker is, and most people don't. Well, David Walker is the former Comptroller General of the United States, meaning he's the head accountant from about 1998 through about 2008. And he's made a number of statements indicating that the federal tax brackets are going to have to be doubled in the years ahead. And most people don't believe that. So we like to share with them that, hey, right now tax brackets, the highest marginal tax bracket is like 35%. And we may see 70% tax brackets. And we think that's important for people to know. But the whole idea is helping every one of our clients understand that the economic future is going to be different, and we can't use some of the same products and services and thought processes to protect ourselves, to reduce risk, to reduce taxes, and to create greater financial certainty. Many of the financial services products that we've used over the last 30 or 40 years just aren't going to get the job done. And so that's a part of some of the things that we share with people. Along with that, I think, Scott, you might share with them, you mentioned a little bit about the family banking plan. You talked about the family legacy. Maybe you could spend a couple of minutes and tell the listeners a little bit about what the family banking plan is really all about.
Okay.
What's the design behind it, and why is it more effective than maybe a 401k? Not that we are suggesting that you not fund a 401k, but you need to understand how the two work and how one might complement the other significantly.
Good point. Let me just re-invite those of you who may be interested in attending a dinner tomorrow night, Wednesday night, the 6th of June. We'll be hosting a dinner, and it's free. We're happy to have you come. Bring your spouse, bring your married children. We'd love to have you. We just need you to register to do it. It starts at 6:30. It's at Ruby River in Provo, which is connected there to the La Quinta Inn. If you would go to familybankingplan.com, there is a page there that's a page where you can, it's just an events page. And on that events page, you can actually register for the event. We'll know you're coming. We just need to know whether you want chicken or steak, and we'd be thrilled to have you. Again, it's about a 90-minute presentation, so please plan on coming and attending and staying for the 90 minutes. We'll have a great time. Again, it's free. We'd love to have you. So, again, familybankingplan.com. If you want to get more information, you can actually go to info@familybankingplan.com. info@familybankingplan.com. Again, the events page is there. Just sign up for the dinner tomorrow night, 6:30 on the 6th of June at Ruby River. And we will be introducing these concepts tomorrow night with more detail. Let me share with you two things that I thought about as Scott was talking. One, most financial planners deal with product. Our job is to deal with strategies. We're all about teaching people financial strategies. I was so impressed when Scott taught me years ago the fundamental concept of, some of you watched Tiger Woods in the last weekend. He'd actually been very impressive. I heard one of the great golfers in the world say yesterday that Tiger Woods shot the best shot he's ever seen on Sunday. I didn't watch it, but Tiger Woods is pretty impressive. Well, I say to people, Scott said to me, Scott, if you're a golfer and I could allow you to have Tiger Woods clubs in the next tournament you're in, or Tiger Woods swing, what are you going to choose? And I said, well, obviously I want the swing. And he said, why? And I said, well, because the swing is what makes Tiger Woods Tiger Woods. Anybody can have great clubs. And that's true. And so he compared at the time, he said, financial products are just clubs in a bag. But the swing, what is it you believe about money? What is your philosophy? What is your strategy? What are you trying to do? And so when Scott talks about, we believe in backup strategies. We believe in trying to help people find a way that if their 401k doesn't do what they think it's going to do, which it may well not do what they think it's going to do. If we have any more of the 2000 to 2009 kind of stuff, if that happens again, and many analysts believe it will, then what's your backup strategy? What's your backup plan? We're all about backup plans. You guys, it's very important for us to help you to understand we're not about doom and gloom. This isn't about being negative at all. It's about being very positive about the future, but knowing what the future holds allows you to be positive. Not knowing it allows you to be fearful. This isn't about fear. It's about knowing what the truth is and acting based on that truth.
Well, Scott, I want to interject just for one. It's so important. I think that's one of the key things that came out of my experience in the first part of the 20th century, the 2000 to 2002, was there didn't seem to be any real backup plans just in case things didn't go the way that you thought they might. And so having backup plans and exit strategies for certain events, for example, the stock market falling. What is your backup plan if the stock market declines over the next decade like it did over the last decade? Most people don't have a backup plan for that. They just plan on seeing what the market's going to do. And so creating backup plans or exit strategies so you can get out of processes that are losing propositions, that may not come back, that may actually financially injure you going forward if you stay that course. I think that is very critical and very key, and that's why some of the things that we are going to talk about on this show are so important. Is that they are a backup strategy. They are they can be the strategy But if you are going to continue in some of these other traditional financial planning strategies, then they certainly fall into the category of a backup strategy, and that's why they're so very powerful. So go ahead and finish. You were going to talk about the family banking plan, for example.
Well, we teach people a concept that we refer to as family banking plan. And again, our website is familybankingplan.com. You can go there, get more information. There are articles that have been written about family banking. But simply stated, if I could show you a way to get back all the money that's going out of your life to financial institutions, for example, if I could show you a way to act as if you were the bank and get back the interest and the principal that's going out on credit cards and car loans and student loans and mortgages, et cetera, if I could show you a way to do that, would you be interested? Well, there's not a person in the world who would say no to that. Of course I'd be interested if I could get all that money back. Well, nobody ever taught us when we were young that you could recycle money. But that's all banks do. They just recycle money. They take a deposit, they use it, they get it back, they use it, they get it back, they use it on a car loan, they get it back, they use it on student loans, they get it back, they use it on mortgage, they get it back. They recycle the same money over and over and over and over again. We teach people that concept. It's a fundamental truth that you finance everything in your world. You finance everything you buy. You either pay interest or you lose interest by paying cash. Either way, you finance everything you buy. Well, if that's true, why not finance it yourself and get the money back? We're sitting here in a building next to the Wells Fargo building in Provo. We're sitting 2 blocks away from the Zions Bank building in Provo, the 2 biggest banks in this county. And you look at probably the 2 biggest banks in the state, and you look at what banks do. Banks just recycle money. And if we can teach people how to do that, it's a fundamental truth that if I can bring back money that was going out of my life, we tell people, everybody, you'll hear it at the seminar tomorrow night, you are unknowingly and unnecessarily transferring money out of your life every day. We all do it. You unknowingly and unnecessarily transfer money out of your life into other people's lives, to financial institutions, to other people, and it's never coming back. And if we could show you a way to get that money back into your life dramatically, it changes your future. It changes your retirement. It changes kids' missions, wedding, education funding, all the things that are coming down the pike. It changes all that because that money is coming back to you instead of all going out. I hope that makes sense. Now, in legacy, let's just take a second, Scott, and talk about legacy, so we don't run out of time here. You'll be introduced at the dinner tomorrow night to a concept that we refer to as family legacy, and without giving you a lot of detail, because you'll hear more over the next 3 weeks as we discuss these things on the air at noon every Tuesday. But the legacy is, let me ask you to picture something here. Try and imagine a circle that says family banking plan. And from that circle, there are spokes. It's almost like a wheel. There are spokes coming out of the circle. And try and imagine the different spokes, financial spokes in your life, such as an emergency fund, a mission fund, if you happen to be LDS and trying to plan for missions in your family, wedding funds, car funds, education funds,
college funds,
college funding. I just try and imagine all the things that are going to come out of your life. If you had a central focus that was called the family banking plan, and it had the ability to fund all of those things and funnel money back through your life. I'll give you an example. Again, for those of you who happen to be LDS, we set up a family banking plan recently, 2 years ago, for a family that wanted to set up a perpetual mission fund. The LDS Church has a perpetual education fund. It has a number of perpetual funds. Well, this family wanted to have their own perpetual mission fund so that money went out, came back in, went out, came back in, sent out missionary after missionary after missionary. Well, you can do the same thing with college kids. You can do the same thing with the car fund. That's what we teach people. And in the process of that happening, we show people how to conclude it with a family legacy. How to take the family and let the family be the central focus of creating, managing, and then long-term having tax-free money in a family fund that just never ends. And when I look at it, when I listen to Scott explain this, and again, you'll hear it tomorrow night if you decide to come to dinner, I was excited for my children and grandchildren because we get people in these dinners who their number one concern, they're looking at their kids, they're looking at the grandkids and saying, how are we going to do this? How are my kids and grandkids ever going to own a home? How are they going to be able to retire if the market keeps doing what it's doing, et cetera? And we have some answers, and family legacy is one of those answers.
Well, it is. The family legacy is kind of a very important tool in some of the things that we suggest. I kind of refer to it as leveraging the value of certainty, which means, in essence, what we're trying to do is create as much financial certainty in people's lives as we possibly can. Again, reducing or wherever possible risk to the lowest level that we possibly can, and everywhere at every juncture, trying to reduce the impact of taxes. But this process, the family legacy process, is about helping families understand that wealth creation and wealth preservation is something that, when done within the family unit, and it could be a family unit of you and your spouse, or an extended family unit of brothers and sisters, parents, grandparents, etc. It can involve as many people as you want. But the ultimate design is to create generational tax-free wealth that can be passed on from family, from generation to generation, recycling money, a perpetual family wealth account, so to speak, that is free from income taxation when properly structured, and will help families keep the money in the family. We're just about out of time, and so we're not going to be able to go into the detail today that we'd like to. But over the course of the next 2 or 3 sessions, we will share some ideas and thoughts with you. We want to close today by inviting you once again to come to our seminar tomorrow, dinner seminar, Ruby River in Provo, at 6:30. Plan on being there until about 8:05, 8:10, and don't need to bring your checkbook. There's nothing to buy. There's only information that will be dispensed, and if you'd like to go forward, we'll allow you to set an appointment with us in either your home or our office. So we're excited to visit with you in the coming weeks, and look forward to talking with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.